trouble. So we are on, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. Good morning. We are talking about the crucial issues of the day. First of all, fight back or die. That's not me saying it now. That is on the mainstream media. Mainstream media outlets reporting now. People in the United Kingdom need to fight back or die. Also, jets scrambled over Romania. Another drone incursion from, well, I guess I'll read you the article in a minute. So we have got this situation now. The United Kingdom, it does look like there's unity in the United Kingdom. It does look like people are coming together. We have got a situation in Europe where, again, it does look like people are coming together. One thing I just want to note real quick, and I don't know if anybody actually knows this. Well, I know some people will know this, and I only found out this morning during the protest yesterday. During the protest yesterday, Westminster Council revoked their license to hold that event, but the police didn't enforce it. So what that means is basically, and this is huge, guys. Like I was trying to find like a mainstream media article that was talking about this. So put that into context, right? There's a planned march in London. Everybody's ticked the boxes. Everybody said yes. Everybody said it's fine. You know, they've gone through all the checks and the balances and the marks, and they put all the documentation in. And that protest on paper was due to finish at 6 o'clock. Now, Westminster Council, guys, look, if I'm getting this slightly wrong with the particulars, please put it in the comments below. So Westminster Council was due to run that event, and they gave them a license to operate till I think it was 6 o'clock. Now, I don't know what time it was, but at some point in that day, Westminster Council said, "Oh, actually, with regards." Hang on, guys. Sorry, hang on. Give me a second. Westminster Council said, with regards to what's happened, we are going to revoke this license. Now, if you put this into context again, when there was the other day when there was the Palestinian march, or I don't know what they're calling it, the pro-Palestine march, there was I think there was 700 or 800 people arrested. Now, does that not seem suspicious to you guys that a march that at the end, when it closed, there were 25 arrests? Now, I think that is a phenomenally low number. And again, those guys are ridiculous for getting themselves arrested. I don't know why they would do that. They've just brought everything down. But 25 arrests, that's the reality, guys, of what happened yesterday. So why did Westminster Council want to close that down? You know, literally, why did Westminster Council want to close that down if it was relatively peaceful? And I could argue that was a peaceful, that was, I don't want to say peaceful. Guys, I'm opening this up to the chat. Was it a peaceful protest or not? Was 25 people getting arrested? I mean, how many people get arrested in London a day anyway? I don't know. I don't know how many people get arrested in London every day. So I thought that was very strange. Now, it turns out the police didn't enforce that. So now you can see is that a shift? Is that a shift changing where the government are telling the police, close that down. I want you to pull the power and stop them communicating up there. And the police is saying, no, we're not doing that. That literally happened, guys, and that's not getting as much media attention as I believe it should. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, the news of the day. I'm going to start with this article from. I'm going to start with this article here. Quite a few people are leading with this now, guys. I think they should go on we need to do t-shirts, don't we? Like I could do, if I did my own t-shirts, I could do fight back or die t-shirts real quick. I think I need to get the t-shirt stuff, don't I? I need to get the t-shirt stuff. Like we could have like a Union flag and we could just have fight back or die. And we could do it like rustic so it looks like it's been in a war. Fight back or die. I'm just going to read you these headlines, and then we'll and I'll come on to the comments. London protest live. Elon Musk tells Tommy Robinson protesters, fight back or die, as 25 arrested during huge march. Elon Musk made his comments in a conversation with Tommy Robinson, also claiming a dissolution of parliament and change of government is needed in the United Kingdom. Again, guys, look, you know, I'm pretty convinced that Elon Musk is trolling me right now, and I'm sure, Elon, if you're in the chat, can you just like give me a thumbs up or something? Send me an inbox. Elon Musk told Tommy Robinson that promises must either fight back or die, as he appeared via video link in the huge march organised by the far-right figure on Saturday in London. Metropolitan Police said 25 people had been arrested after 26 officers were injured. So, I mean, what does that mean? Does that mean that, like, 25 people, did they just, like, crack an officer each and one guy cracked 2 officers? I don't know what that means. Including 4 who were seriously hurt in scenes of unacceptable violence. Between 110,000 and 150. I'm going to leave that there, guys. I spoke about that yesterday on yesterday's live stream. So if you want me to talk more about that, just go and check out my live stream from yesterday. It's wild times, ladies and gentlemen. We are living in absolute wild times right now. Like, nobody can be under any illusion how crazy times are now in the United Kingdom. Sky News has reported why Tommy Robinson rally was so different to any other. And I've only just opened this, so I'm just going to read this in real time. I've not read this. This was the biggest nationalist rally in recent memory, perhaps ever. Well before the march started, thousands of people flowed over Blackfriars Bridge, yada, yada, yada. What exactly was it? This was billed as a free speech rally. The most common chants we heard were, Keir Starmer is a banker. He's not a banker, guys. He was a barrister. People are so wrong. Dawn from Southampton said, all right, okay. Others didn't draw that distinction. Right, Dawn from Southampton and wearing a red sequin jacket said it was because the country was getting overrun. She said she was talking only about illegal migration. Others didn't draw that distinction. Danny from Birmingham was holding a sign that said, send them back, and said he was unhappy with migration. In general, he came to stand up for what he believes in, the religion, the identity of the country. That's been the difference. That's been a difference with this rally compared to past ones. An overt Christian nationalism. I think when people are corralled and when people have got nothing left, they turn to something. It's like when people turn to gold. You know, when people financially, they turn to gold because they're worried about where to put their money. When people are worried about where their belief systems is and they want to unite, I think, you know, I really do see this Christianity, like people turning to Christianity in huge droves. And I think that's what, you know, like this article says here, the difference with this rally compared to other rallies is an overt Christian nationalism. And I welcome that, guys. I do. I welcome that. Right, I'll leave that there. I'm going to jump onto the chat, guys. I'm going to jump onto the chat. Right, the chat is open, ladies and gentlemen. It's a Sunday. I thought I'd leave the chat open because I do want to get a diverse opinion of what people are thinking right now in the United Kingdom. Look, if you're on the left, if you're on the right, I'd love to hear from you. I'd love your opinions. The chat's open, guys. So I have a rule with the chats. If you're going to call people out, if you're going to challenge what I'm saying, absolutely fine. I actually welcome it. You know, I welcome people challenging what I'm saying. Don't be rude. Don't be rude. Don't be offensive, and don't swear. All right. Try and be cool. Try and be like Fonzie. All right, because nobody likes people ranting. It just gets difficult to deal with. So I as a rule, I won't block anyone. Unless they're being rude or, you know, or swearing or anything. Pippa, hang on, let me get Pippa. Where's Pippa? Hang on, let me get Pippa. Where's Pippa? Pippa, I just saw somebody call. Right, Pippa's gone. Pippa has. Oh no, there she is. Piper P is saying, and hello, Piper P. Oh, hang on, my screen's froze. Okay. Piper P is saying, what did it mean when Tommy said Westminster withdrew their license? So, first of all, I don't know. I don't understand this 100%. My understanding of this is, and if anybody's in the chat and has a better, and has a better understanding, please let me know. When you do one of these protests, or when you have one of these marches, you have to, you have to put in an application. You have to say, look, we want to be at this place at this time. We want to do this. And you put the relevant paperwork in, and then it gets approved or, rejected. Anyway, obviously, this had already been approved. So as I understand it, the protest was supposed to be there from 10:30, the march, basically. That event was supposed to be in London, I think from 10:30 or 11:30? Anyway, till 6 o'clock. That was the closing time, 6 o'clock. The Westminster Council, or the awarding body, halfway through it, they just said, you know what, we're going to revoke this. We've reviewed it. We don't like it. We want you guys gone. So they revoked that license to be there. Now, I think the police made the right decision, because it would have just been carnage. Can you imagine the police coming up there and saying, right, we're closing you down, you've got to go home? It would have just caused chaos. But you can see now how crazy that is. And when you contextualize the actual amount of violence that was there, I don't think it was that much, guys. I struggle to, when you do a side by side comparison with this most recent Free Palestine march, where you had, like, I think, was it 800 arrests? Like 800 arrests. And so, yeah, it's a crazy thing. It's a crazy thing that, that happens. The police made the right decision, I believe, because that would have just caused absolute carnage on the streets. Jackie Davey is saying they revoked it because the numbers were too low. All right, so Jackie's saying there was not enough people there, so they had to revoke the revoke the license. Okay, fair enough, if that's what Jackie's saying. You're welcome to her opinion. User, hang on. Right, guys, the chat's going crackers here. Right, guys, listen, I do apologize. I wanted the chat open this morning because I wanted people's opinions on what's happening. But the chat is going crazy at the moment, right? And I'm not being able to. I can't get the chat comments because it's going too fast. Now I think we froze. I think we've gone swizzly there. Right, I'm just going to leave that chat on TikTok, guys. That chat on TikTok is absolutely wild right now. Guys, I'm going to have to... Guys, I do apologize. I'm going to have to... I don't want to... Hang on. Somebody put a comment here about it's not left and right, it's up and down. I can't find it. Right, somebody put a comment on the chat saying it's not about left and right, it's about up and down. I agree 100%. It's about, I agree 100%. The country is being, right now, the country in the United Kingdom, we are being sucked dry financially. And ultimately, it's the people at the bottom who pay the price. Now, it's not bankers who are doing things to our kids. It's not. It's not international investors, although you could argue that they're the root cause, which I would say, yes, they are the root cause. When you're in a battle, when you're in a war, ladies and gentlemen, all right, when you're in a war, my mantra for war is you should avoid wars at all costs, but if you're in a war, you should win it at all costs. When you're in a battle or a war, you need to take the fights that are there. Imagine the Falkland Islands, right? Imagine the Falkland Islands back in 82, sorry. So you're there in the Falkland Islands, you're in you're taking, there's a bunker opening fire at you. You know, imagine someone shouting, that bunker's not the real problem. It's the government it's the government in Argentina. They're struggling politically, and they want to divert attention from their failing financial policies. You'd be like, no. We need to deal with that bunker right there. Once that bunker's dealt with, and we've got the Argentinians out of the Falklands, that might get me banned. No. Once we've dealt with this problem, then we can look at the other problems. All right. So I take all these, all these comments about, it's that, it's the rich people, it's billion. I wouldn't say it's rich people. I'd say it's international investment. But ultimately, when I go to the beach and I can't, when I go to the beach and I can't, I can't get onto the beach because it's, it's too dangerous. It's not international investors on the beach. That's the reality. Right, guys, the chat's going crazy at the moment on TikTok. I think I might have to just leave it. Right, I think I'm just going to have to leave that chat, guys, on TikTok, because that is going absolutely bonkers right now. Listen, also, right, Eastern Europe, there was another incursion of Romanian airspace last night, which there was another incursion of Romanian airspace last night. I think Polish jets were scrambled. Now, not to be confused with eggs. Ukraine-Russia war latest. Romania scrambles jets, accusing Moscow of another drone breach after Poland incursion. So now we're focusing on Romania. What's happening in Romania? So the reason this is more dangerous now, it's because when they dragged everyone in for this Article 4 meeting, they'll have sat everyone, all the NATO members, they'll have sat them around a table and said, look, guys, all right, if we get this, if these drones come again, what can we do? And they will have come up with a series of responses to different events. And I'm pretty much convinced that one of those responses will be to take out those launch pads. Like, it makes sense. Like if you're getting, if your kid, right? Imagine you're at home, right? And your kid, your child, they're 4-year-old and they've got a water pistol, right? They keep squirting you with a water pistol, right? Just imagine that scenario, right? Are you gonna just stand there and keep blocking the water, or are you gonna take that water pistol off the kid and say, right, behave, I'll give it you back. But until then, I'm taking this. You'd take it off him, wouldn't you? You would remove that. You would remove the implement. So this is why I think a preemptive strike has been put on the cards somewhere. Now, I don't know the triggers and the the framework for that, but I do think it's I do think they will have talked about it. Excuse me. So this is from the Romanian Defense Ministry now, guys, okay? So the Romanian Defense Ministry confirmed that it scrambled 2 F-16 fighter jets on Sunday, so today, after detecting a drone breaching the country's airspace, just days after Poland confirmed it detected a Russian drone incursion. Romania condemns Russia's behavior and takes the necessary measures to protect its sovereignty and security. Romanian Foreign Minister, I'm not going to try and pronounce his name. Romania's move comes after NATO announced plans to beef up Europe's defences on the eastern flank, and the US has vowed to defend every inch of its allies as Russian drones breached Polish airspace. So I want to talk about these F-16s real quick, guys. I want to talk about these F-16s. So can you guys remember when this was it seems like a long time back, when the Ukrainians first got gifted the F-16 fighter jets. Now, one of the things I was talking about is I said, look, I don't see how those F-16s can be flown from Ukraine, because If I was Putin, and I'm not Putin, guys, I am 100% not Putin, or the Russian military, what I would do is I would just say, right, okay, where are these F-16s being flown from? Carpet bomb those airfields, and it's done. And I did a video and I talked about this. And then what happened is it came out afterwards. It said, the Ukrainians said, we have been gifted, I can't remember, I think it was something wild, like 120 F-16s or something. What the Ukrainians said is, we're not going to keep them all in Ukraine. We're only going to keep a few operational models in Ukraine. And then straight away, I was like, right, that is exactly what I've been saying. So now you've got this scenario where you've got the legitimacy to fly F-16s from Poland to Ukraine, from Romania to Ukraine, from Slovakia to Ukraine, from Hungary to Ukraine, all these NATO countries. You can fly F-16s in and out of Ukraine now and just claim it's for servicing. You can just claim they are, they're operational ones and they've been damaged and they're going out to Poland for a service or whatever. Now it's looking more and more now like we could have a situation where Romania are flying security patrols over Ukraine, Poland are flying security patrols over Ukraine, and what they will do is they will say, look, we need to protect our own airspace. So why are we waiting for these missiles to come into our airspace? Why don't we just intercept them before they come into our airspace? And then we have, there's no risk then of them falling on Romanian, Slovakian, Hungarian, or Polish people. Then, as the radar, as the Russians will be looking with their radar on the satellites or whatever systems they've got, they will just see an F-16 leaving an airbase in Poland. That F-16 will be flying around, maybe below radar, I don't know. It'll be very hard to detect. And nobody will know whether that is a Polish pilot flying a defensive mission, or a Ukrainian pilot, or maybe even an American mercenary pilot, and they will be flying an offensive sortie. Nobody will know that. It will be virtually impossible. And as long as those pilots don't fly into Russian airspace or don't get captured, I mean, they can get shot down over Ukraine. That's fine, as long as they don't get captured and they don't get identified in Russia. So it's going to be very difficult for the Russians to identify who, where, what, and I guess why those F-16s are leaving and flying sorties over Ukraine. Now, this leads then to the bigger question for the Russians. The Russians will know this, obviously. And what they're going to say is, right, those airfields now in Poland are fair game, so that's where I think we're going, guys. So when people say, are we going to get attacked in the UK? One of the things I say straight away is, that if there's a country in NATO that's going to get attacked next, it's going to be Poland. Sean McKay is saying, no. Sean McKay is saying, listen, end of Ant's speech said along lines of, when, if the time comes, fight. Wonder what he meant. I think there's a subcontext here. There's a subcontext here. I mean, I've read it a few times, I've read it a few times that people are just getting furious now. And it does seem that there's no way out. I mean, whatever these issues are now in the United Kingdom, whether you think it's the far right, whether you think it's aliens, whether you think it's KISS, whatever the issues are, it doesn't matter. But whatever those issues are, when those issues keep building up, and time again, people say, we don't want this, we don't want this, we don't want this. And time again, the government are saying, you don't want it? Well, here's some more, here's some more, here's some more. It drives people one way. And again, look, guys, I talk about subversion all the time. We are being massively subverted. massively subverted. Again, if you go back through my videos, last year, I was saying, I was talking about that we could put our tiptoes into the crisis phase this summer. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen now. I mean, we've got what we're on the 14th, so we've got maybe like a week left of summer before we tip into autumn. I don't think it's going to happen. What I've been saying though is, and I even mentioned before Elon Musk was ever putting tweets out about anything like this, one of the things I said is, what if people get backing and funding by big American influence, which is what's happening now. Ultimately, all these shenanigans that we're going through now, guys, they're going to lead to an Anglosphere, and that's going to be America, Canada, Greenland, England, Ireland, Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, that whole block, Israel, Antarctica, Australia, New Zealand, and I'm going to say Taiwan and Japan in that as well. So it's going to lead to this Anglosphere, this huge Anglosphere. And, I don't see any way around that now, guys. That is where we're heading right now, guys. And at a very minimum, it's going to be, America, Greenland. At very minimum, guys. I don't see how those things can't happen. I think the only wild cards on that analysis are go on, Taiwan and Japan. But I do think they're gonna be part of the Anglosphere. Sherry Heppelstone is saying, morning all, what have I missed? Oh, you have missed so much, Cheryl. Sherry's missed so much. Possible Elon Musk to back Ant Middleton. Ant. You've got, Ant. You've got to get votes, all right? You've got to get votes, and I just don't think Ant is going to win I don't think Ant is going to win London. Not a chance. London's gone. London really has gone. Speak with you says, speak what you see says, hi Sean, can you go further into the Antarctic theory, please? What do you mean by Antarctic theory? I talk quite a lot on this channel about Antarctica. If you elaborate what you mean on that, I will answer that. No Name is saying he will get the votes. I'm not so sure that Ant Middleton could win London, guys. London is a massively diverse place. A lot of people will be throwing Ant's criminal record into the mix, and I don't think he's got. I don't think he got the. I don't think he has the charisma, guys. I don't think he has the charisma to win London, and I mean that with the most respect. I do. I really do mean that with the most respect. I don't think he can win London. If he was to, he doesn't how would that even work? He doesn't even live in London. He doesn't even live in the United Kingdom. So I don't know how that would, I don't know how that would work if Ant Middleton wants to be mayor of London. Good luck to him. All I'm saying is in that context, Ant Middleton being the mayor of London, look, I'm sure he knows his path better than I know his path, but I just don't see it. He doesn't live in the United Kingdom. He's not a member of a political party. And I don't think he would get the votes in London. I don't. There's a huge Muslim vote in London, and they would 100% not vote for him. 100% they would not vote for him. So I don't know how that would, I just don't know how he'd win. And I know people, I know people, and we've got to be realistic, guys. All right. Look, guys, one of the things I always say on this channel is people need to stop looking at other people people need to stop looking at other people and thinking they're going to help them. Like, people need to deal with their own problems themselves. So whatever those problems are, if you deal with them in your community collectively, all the problems will go away. We don't need, like for example, Ant Middleton, to wave his flag and become mayor of London. We don't need that. If people in London come together and just say, no, we don't want this, and deal with things, in their own communities themselves. And I think that's one of the problems. We're all looking for some savior, but the savior is within yourself. The savior is within yourself. Coral Reefin is saying he's not just even a politician, is he? You can't go straight in as mayor. I don't know. I don't know if you can. I just look, guys. I don't want to dwell on whether Ant Middleton's can be the mayor of London or not. I'm sure Ant and his team and all the people around him have got a plan. I know he doesn't live in the United Kingdom. He's not a member of a political party. And I just don't think he would win the vote in London. London has a massive Muslim bloc vote. And I don't see people voting. I don't see people vote. I don't see Ant winning London in a fair election, guys. I don't. I don't see it. What I think he should do is join a political party and try and get an easy seat. Try and get one of those easy seats. These parties, they have the polling and everything. Look where it's most likely for him to get in and go and run there. Like, to jump straight into London, good luck to him. Honestly, good luck to him. But I think he needs to be realistic. It doesn't matter how fast he can run or how many pull-ups he can do, because he was a Marine. He can't run very fast. But yeah, I just don't think he's going to get the votes, guys. I don't think he's going to get the votes. Anyway, right, let me, right, where was we, ladies and gentlemen? Right, I'll give you the crux of this live stream. Wow, I can't believe how quick the time's gone. Right, ladies and gentlemen, the crux of this live stream is, if you live in the United Kingdom, fight back or die. They're not my words, ladies and gentlemen. They're not my words, so don't get me done for fake news. That is literally the headlines today from a lot of the mainstream media. Elon Musk, he was on stage. He was telling people of the United Kingdom, fight back or die. He was saying, violence is coming. You either fight back or you die. And it's quite, and I think he's right. And look, guys, obviously Elon's watching my channel and he's just got what I said, which is avoid a war at all costs. But if you're in a war, you need to win it at all costs. And I don't think that's controversial. So we did see, and like the mainstream media are talking about now, guys, the big difference between this protest and other protests has been the overt Christianity, the overt Christian tones. We had wild scenes, guys, wild scenes. And whether you agree with this or not, this happened. There was people on stage ripping up Palestinian flags, ripping up Islamic flags. This is the Maoris doing the haka. It was wild, guys. It was absolutely wild. The government tried to close it down in real time. They did. I only found out this morning, guys, and I may, if anyone's in the chat, Toots is saying, I hope you eat your words with that. Toots, Toots, your comment's not approved. Okay, Toots has just put, I hope you eat your words with this. Look, Toots, I'm not saying I don't want him to be mayor. I'm saying I feel it's unlikely. So I tried to ping your comment, Toots, but it said it's not approved. I don't know why. TikTok's crazy, guys, with the algorithm. Look, guys, I need to be clear. I personally would love Ant. I put my differences aside. All right, I would love Ant to be mayor of London. I would 100%. Do I think it's likely that that's going to happen? No. I'm being honest with you. I don't follow the zeitgeist, ladies and gentlemen. I do my own stuff. I give you guys my own opinion, speculation, and analysis. The protest yesterday, I didn't realize this, guys. I will be coming on to the jet scrambled. So there are more jets scrambled over Romania this morning, guys. It does look like Romania is having its own drone incursion. Excuse me. I didn't realize this until this morning. So anybody in the anybody in the chat, can anybody in the chat please correct me if I'm going wrong on this, or and I'm making a disclaimer. I might be getting some of these particulars slightly wrong. The event yesterday in London was planned. It had been, the paperwork had been submitted, and that was due to end at 6 o'clock. The government, they said, no, we want you to close it down now, and they wanted to close that down earlier. So they basically said we're closing you down. The police on the ground said, look, we're not going to enforce that. We're not going to enforce the local governments. We're not going to enforce local government. So government tried to close that protest down yesterday. I don't know. I think maybe halfway through or something. And that to me is the biggest news. It was a peaceful protest. Yes, 25 people were arrested, but like, how many people get arrested in London anyway on a day? I don't know where those statistics are coming from. 25 stupid people as well. If you went to that protest and you were told to be on your best behavior, you're massively disrespecting. You're massively disrespecting. You know, I think there'll be a time to come where people, where people are told to take your safes to catch off. But right now, that's not the time, guys. It's not the time. And when that time comes, it'll be somebody with more influence than me will be saying it, And just, if you're going to go to one of these protests and you do get arrested, unless you're getting arrested for something silly like, I don't know, being on your mobile phone on the road. I don't know. But if you go to one of these protests and you get arrested for something stupid, like fighting, like violence, you are bringing everything down. You're bringing everything down. And then the liberals, they will say, oh, look at these violence. And you're like, whoa, stop. And it's very difficult to argue with these people. It is very difficult to argue with these people. So don't let the team down, guys. Don't let the team down. Don't get yourself arrested. Don't become ammunition for somebody to throw back at you. Sorry, guys. I went on a bit of one then, didn't I? It was wild scenes, guys. Right, I'm just going to get the rest of these comments. Candy Rocks is saying, you didn't fancy going then, Raven. No, I don't. Look, guys, I used to go. I've been to a few of these protests. I have. I've been to a few of these protests in London. You spend a ton of money. It's an absolute faff. And ultimately, it doesn't change anything. Now, let me just clarify what I've just said. The government in the United Kingdom are not going to change anything. The government won't change their policies. Like Keir Starmer's not going to come out and say, right, lads, I've seen your protest yesterday. Yeah, I got you. I'll stop these boats. It's not going to happen. Not going to happen, guys. Absolutely not. So what does happen is people become empowered, people become united, and people have direction. Well, I already have those things, guys. I empower myself. I've got my own direction. And I'm telling you guys what's coming in the future. This protest won't change any government policy. What it has done, it's united people. Martin Quinn saying 25 people got arrested, but 470 people got arrested at Notting Hill Carnival. Yeah. And not only that, there was the pro-Palestine march a couple of days ago, and I think 800 people got arrested. Mr. Wan is saying correct. Thank you so much, Mr. Wan, for saying correct. I don't know what that's in response to. Snowdrops is saying, if the vote for Mayor of London was the whole of the country, then yes, Ant would win. But it's not. Yeah, I agree, Snowdrops. And look, I'm going to pin this because I do think people were thinking I was throwing dirt on Ant. Look, Ant was an ex-Marine. I naturally don't like him because he was an ex-Marine. All right. I know people who know him, who've worked with him. I'm not going to get into that. I want to support Ant. I hope he becomes London mayor. I really do. 100%. So, like, I don't know who it was. Somebody was saying, like, they hope I eat my words. Literally, guys, like, when I'm looking at London, you know, the capital of England, where nobody speaks English, like when I'm looking at London, it's, you know, I'm looking at it and I feel it's a disgrace. So when people say, oh, Sean, why don't you want Ant to be mayor? I do want Ant to be mayor. I just don't think it's going to happen. I'm being realistic. You know, when I'm looking at Sadiq Khan and like the crime rate that's happened in London, and when you look at the Muslim festivals in London, they get a ton of funding, and then you look at St. George's Day that gets like nothing. You know, of course that's painful to watch. Of course that's difficult. Of course I want Ant to be, you know, of course I want Ant to be mayor of London. I just don't see it happening, guys. I don't see it happening, guys. You know, I just really don't see it happening. And that's not me being negative. That's just me being realistic. Anna and Archibald are saying the fights between top and bottom, not left and right. Yeah, I've spoke about that. Let me pin this because I did mention this earlier. And the analogy, I don't know if you heard, I don't know if it's the same person who's responding. I didn't see it because it flipped up. A comment here is saying the real fight is between top and bottom. And I agree. Not left and right. And I agree. What I will say is if you're in a war, and my theory on war is avoid wars at all costs, but if you're in a war, win it at all costs. If you're in a war, right, and you're getting attacked by a bunker, and that bunker is right there, that bunker's right there in front of you. They're hailing machine gun fire down on you. You're taking casualties left, right, and center, and you're like, right, okay, section 200 bunker, you know. When you're in that battle, you can't have a conversation saying, yeah, but boss, that bunker's not the real problem. The real problem is the financial policies that the government have put in place to force them to have a war, to take things off domestic policy. Yeah, I know that is the problem, but we can't do anything about that now. We need to deal with this threat. So, you know, you need to deal with the threat that's in front of you. Oh, Destiny. Destiny's final shape. I'm going to mute you, Destiny. Right, I'm going to mute Destiny's final shape. He was on yesterday. I'm not going to block you. I'm just going to mute you for the entire live. Destiny's final shape. You're doing so well, all right? You're being rude and you're swearing, all right? I asked you not to swear yesterday, and I gave you the benefit of the doubt, but he swore, so I've muted him. Guys, look, please don't ruin it for yourselves, all right? If you're from the left, or you don't like what I'm saying, or you don't like whatever, if you come on here and you swear and you're rude, you're just making people not like you more. That's what's happening. If you come on here and you say, look, I don't like this because of X, Y, and Z, people will talk to you. I'll talk to you, you know, and we can have a conversation. You can put your point across. You can articulate it. And maybe, you know, maybe Destiny's final shape, maybe you could change people's opinion and get more people for your cause. But ultimately, swearing, being rude, it doesn't help. It never helps. You know, it never helps. Absolutely never. So I have muted you for the duration of the live stream. I hope when you come back later on tonight, when we're on at 8, I hope you don't swear and you're not rude and you can articulate yourself a little bit better, because I don't want to block people, guys. I really don't want to block people. Just going to get some comments on a couple of comments on TikTok, YouTube, guys. Lisa is saying, doesn't that show them who attended the protest were good people, not idiots like the Antifa, all masked up and throwing glass bottles? Yeah, I agree, Lisa. I agree. And Joe to Preserve is saying, if you have a... Oh, hang on. Oh, I don't listen. This is a fantastic comment. I don't know where we're going with this, but and Joe to Endeavour is saying, if you have a pile of human excrement in one hand and a pile of hope in the other hand, which hand is heavier? Listen, I think that's a fantastic question. I think, I even think that could go on a t-shirt. Christine Chambers is saying the police are not on your side. And DB Cooper is saying, if you ever get arrested, just say no comment. I think if you get arrested, I think you have to say free Palestine and you just get let off. And Temple Matt is saying, we need Christian songs to be sang at schools. Yeah, can you remember when you had to sing, like, you had to bang out a Jesus belter in the morning when you had to school, when you had to sit at school? I don't know when that stopped. In the 90s, when you went to school, you had to sit there on the floor and you had to bang out a song about Jesus. And look, guys, I will be quite clear. Ladies and gentlemen. All right. Christmas dinner at the Ravens. All right. Christmas dinner. When I'm leading that Christmas dinner speech, I will always sing Little Donkey. I will always sing Little Donkey, guys. I mean, Little Donkey carried Mary on a dusty road. Wow. People overstate the Little Donkey. I mean, to me, Little Donkey was the hero of the Nativity. D-Marie Gen X is saying, Sean, that was the troll who was causing chaos last night in the chat. Yeah, he was causing chaos in the chat last night, but he wasn't being rude. He was, he was just calling people out. And I don't mind people calling, I don't mind people with a difference of opinion and saying things that are, that other people don't like. Because ultimately, I'm not arrogant enough to think that I should go through my whole life without listening to somebody's opinion that I don't like. And I actually welcome it. I do. I welcome it. Something I real quick, this dawned on me last night. The worst people who we're going to meet going forward. I should have had this as guys, I should have had this as the I should have had this as the opening monologue. The worst people that we are going to meet are liberals who've turned their back on their cause. And those liberals, like mums and dads who have been liberal all their life, and they're looking out the window and now they can't go on holiday. Their house is filled with they feel like they're living in another country and they are angry. Those people, mark my words, those people are going to be the ones that are causing violence. They are going to be the lynch mobs. Ladies and gentlemen, those people are going to be the lynch mobs. 100%. Because they've got that liberality. But when they switch, mentally, psychologically, they're broken. So they've got that craziness like the liberals. Oh, it's our way or nothing. I want my own way. I'm not listening to anyone else. It's my way or the highway. This is my way now. Honestly, guys, they will be the people who will be running down the streets. That's going to be your mob rule. You can't reason to those people. I've seen it, guys. When I talk about mob rule, it's terrifying. If you've ever seen mob rule, sorry, guys. If you've ever seen a mob, a real mob, like I saw a real bad mob in where was it? In Basra. So I'll set the scene, guys, real quick. So I was working in Basra and southern Iraq. It's a nice, Basra's a nice city. I was working in Basra, and one of the security companies that we were working with, well, all the security companies actually, they have these big antennas on their trucks, and it was one of the marchers. I think he was like, in Iraq, you have lots of Islamic marchers for different things. I can't remember which one it was. It was the one where it doesn't matter which one it was, but there was a picture of there was a gruesome picture on this flag. I'm not going to say what the picture was. And one of the locals, one of the local Iraqis, put the you can find this on YouTube. Put the flag on one of the antennas for the radio. Now, one of the security managers on the radio got on the radio and said, right, get that flag off that antenna. Don't be driving around, with that flag on the antenna. So one of the guys, the Western guys, got out of the wagon, stood on the bonnet of the car and ripped the flag off. By the beard of Zeus. The mob that was whipped up into a rage, maybe 15 minutes after that, was unbelievable. You can imagine what they did to the driver. You can imagine what they did to the driver. I thought that driver was gone. I did. I thought that driver was going to get transcended into being alive. But when you see this mob in a frenzy, there's nothing you can do, guys. Nothing you can do. The only way you can protect yourself from that mob is answering with lead. There's no other way you can do it because they've gone crazy. And unfortunately, answering with lead is not on the cards, guys. You can't answer with lead. So that will be what happens in the United Kingdom at some point. The way we're going right now, guys, and ultimately, all these protests yesterday, they united people. Yes, I don't think they're going to change government policy. I don't think they're going to change government policy at all. So what you're going to see now is that sentiment growing, people getting more and more angry, and ultimately, I do think we're in for. I do think violence is coming. Snowball is saying, I sent you a video. I'll have to have a look at that later. James is saying Trump is coming to the United Kingdom and they got new ambassador. Have they got a new ambassador yet? I think they're all part of the same. I think they're all part of the same gang. I really do. Like, how could? Ladies and gentlemen, can you wait there while I go and caffeinate myself real quick? Because I've got half a cup of coffee up there. I'm not allowed to drink it on the live stream because I keep getting it restricted. So let me just jump off screen. I will caffeinate myself and then I'll jump back. Oh, Christine Chambers on YouTube is saying Donald Trump loves the UK. Yes, wasn't his grandmother Scottish or something? I think Elon Musk's grandmother's from Leeds. Hang on, give me a second, guys. I think Elon Musk's grandmother's from Leeds. Hang on. I may be miles off on this, guys. I'm just Googling it. Yeah. So Elon Musk has family connection to the UK. His grandmother and the wider Musk families have ancestral roots in England, which are described as a significant part of their heritage. Errol Musk has stated half of their family lives in England and has deep knowledge of the country. This connection may contribute to Elon Musk's personal interest in the UK and his father's suggestion that the family would like to be British citizens. It goes on. I think Elon Musk, I might be wrong on this, guys. I'm just reading the first bit there. I think Elon Musk's grandma's from Leeds. I'm pretty sure. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But Yeah, Elon Musk's grandparents are British, English. Right, sorry, Christine Chambers. So Christine Chambers is saying Donald Trump loves the UK. There's an Anglosphere here, and I talk about this Anglosphere, you know, and I do think, and everything, all this stuff that's happening at the moment, guys, I like, and again, this, I throw things out there that are wild. I throw things out there that are wild. I believe everything that's happening now is all about Antarctica. Everything's about Antarctica. Antarctica's huge, like huge. Like, it's the biggest continent. Nobody really knows what's in or on Antarctica. Nobody's allowed down to Antarctica. However, in 2048, all that changes. 2048, all the air restrictions are lifted. I think it's 2048. Now, that sounds like a long way away, but it's not. So when all those restrictions get lifted, the world needs to be reshaped. I do think there's going to be a mass exodus of Western culture to Antarctica, 100%. I think that's coming. Where Christine Chambers is saying Donald Trump loves the UK, it's because the United Kingdom controls Antarctica. I know that sounds wild, but it's true. The United Kingdom, because we control the Falkland Islands, and the Falkland Islands is a British territory. That claim to the Falkland Islands gives claim to 1/8 of Antarctica. Now, I know what you're saying. Oh, but Sean, that's 1/8 of Antarctica, not the whole of Antarctica. Yes, but it's the best 1/8 of Antarctica. Any ships, boats, anything coming by sea into Antarctica, the only place you could land is on British Antarctic territory, because it's the only peninsula where you can get a beachhead in. All the rest of Antarctica, of course, you could if you spent a phenomenal amount of money, but it's a lot easier to get into Antarctica through British territory. So if you was going, when Antarctica opens up in 2048, whoever controls the Falkland Islands will control the world's biggest oil supply that's been found, and that's only what's been discovered now. All the minerals, or everything, and all the raw materials on Antarctica, whoever controls the Falklands will control that. So now you understand why America needs to take Britain, to take the Falklands, to take Antarctica. And then you get this whole resource-rich area, which is, you know, America, Canada, Greenland, United Kingdom, England, Ireland, Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, and then you get the Falkland Islands. Because you get the Falkland Islands, you get Antarctica. Anyway, that's the Anglosphere explained. It's about money and it's about resources. Right, guys, listen, I'm going to turn this off now on TikTok. I'll continue. I'll get the rest of the comments on YouTube. Thanks. I've not asked you yet. Guys, listen, if you're on and you've not done so already, and you're on TikTok, can you hit the follow buttons? They're like here somewhere. If you do that, guys, you know, they're like here. I'm happy for you is saying Starmer is giving the Falklands back to Argentina soon, is he not? I don't see how that can happen. You know, there's too much money in it. There's too much oil in it. I don't see how that can happen. He may do. I don't think he would. Ultimately, I think the people of the Falkland Islands will get to choose themselves. I mean, like, you can't just like say to them people on the Falkland Islands, yeah, you're Argentinian now. What? You're Argentinian? Oh, okay, right, okay, whatever. Yeah, there's a lot of people on the Falkland Islands who would disagree. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to close this down now on TikTok. Like I said, I'll continue this live stream on YouTube. I've not said this yet. I'm triple streaming, ladies and gentlemen. I stream on YouTube, I stream on TikTok, and I stream on X simultaneously with the powers of the internet. So if you want to continue this live stream, guys, I'm streaming on YouTube at the same time. So if you want to go over there, I'm the Real Raven 1 on YouTube. I'll continue this stream on YouTube because I can talk a little bit more freely without having to mind my P's and Q's. And if not, ladies and gentlemen, I'll be back on this evening at... I'll be back. I will be streaming at 8 this evening. I may start that stream earlier. But I will certainly be streaming at 8 o'clock this evening. And if you've missed any of this, guys, it all gets uploaded to YouTube, so you can go and watch this from the beginning. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to close this down now on TikTok. You guys have been fantastic. Make sure you like and follow and subscribe and do all those things. And I will see you later. Mashed potato. Are we off? I think no, we're not off. We're not off yet. We're off. I think we're off now. We are off. Yes, we are off. Right, and we are just on YouTube and X. So welcome everybody. We're just streaming now on YouTube and X. I can have a little bit more of an open chat. Freddie is saying Romania scrambled jets after a Russian drone breaching. Yeah, this is happening now, guys. It's happening more often. The significance of this now is NATO have already invoked Article 4 and they have discussed what to do in the case that these Russian drones have an incursion. Now we're having these incursions. So I do think the likelihood of a preemptive strike, I do think the likelihood of a preemptive strike is likely. I do think it's gone up. Now, the reason I'm saying this is because if we think about, you wouldn't go into those meetings and say, right, what are we going to do? Are we just going to keep batting these drones out the sky and these missiles? Remember, there was, I think the last drone attack the last big drone attack on Ukraine was, I think it was 400 drones and I think 40 cruise missiles as well. That's a lot of stuff. Now, the way they're using these is, you can imagine, I don't know. Imagine a front line. Imagine a front line in Ukraine. All of that front line, there's radar coverage. So, radars are covering an area and they're like, right, we've got a drone attack in this area. What they're doing is they're just overwhelming one area. And it's very difficult to intercept. It's very difficult when you've got that big front line and you don't know where these drone attacks are coming from. You have to cover everywhere, because if you don't cover everywhere, people, the bad guys will just say, "Oh, right, they're not covering that area. We'll just all go through there." So you have to cover that whole front line, and you have to spread your resources evenly. That lead, and these things have never happened before. We are looking right now at similar numbers to Battle of Britain in the Second World War. We're looking at these numbers now. So the Russians will send over their cheap disposable drones first. Sometimes these things are even made of wood, and they're firing up these, they're firing up really expensive missiles to take down a drone that might have cost like £1,000 or something, €1,000 or dollars or whatever, And then once all those missile defenses have been depleted, that's when the drones go in, the disposable drones. And when we're talking about this industrialization of this conflict, it's not the case like it used to be, where you used to do like, right, we'll send a drone strike and one drone would go, it would fire a missile, then the drone would come back. No. What we do now, what the bad guys do is we say, right, that's the enemy target. We will send 50 drones to take it out. Some of them may land, some of them may not, but the mass, they're getting through. And then the next drones, they're the more expensive ones with the bigger payloads. They actually go to the target, and then you fire the missiles, and then the missiles, because now all the air defense is depleted, the missiles get through. And this is the new dynamics now. This is the new dynamics of warfare. I've been talking about this for a while, the industrialization of these conflicts. But yeah, as Freddie is saying there, Romania's now had a drone. In fact, I'll get this up on the. Let me see if there's been any updates. This was like last couple of hours. Wow, updated 1 minute ago. Give me a second. Latest on the right. Okay, so this is literally updated 1 minute ago, guys. Okay, Latest drone incursion is obvious expansion of Russia's war. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky said Russian the drone. Right, okay, I think that's a typo. Well, it's clearly a typo. Ukrainian Volodymyr Zelensky said Russian, the drone, breached about 10 kilometers into Romanian territory and operated in NATO airspace for around 50 minutes. It's an obvious expansion of the war by Russia, and this is exactly how they act, he said. Sanctions against Russia are needed. Tariffs against Russian trade are needed. Collective defense is needed. NATO announced plans to beef up the defense of Europe's eastern flank on Friday after Poland shot down drones that had violated its airspace. The first known shots fired by a Western alliance during Russia's war in Ukraine. Here we are, guys. Romanian lawmakers approved a law earlier this year enabling the army to shoot down drones illegally breaching Romanian airspace during peacetime, based on threat levels and risk to human life and property. But the bill does not yet have all enforcement rules approved. Swedish Foreign Minister Maria Malmar Stonyard wrote on platform X that the airspace breach was another unacceptable violation of NATO airspace. Sweden stands in full solidarity. Yeah. So there, so we're seeing this conflict in Ukraine spread out and spread out and spread out. It's only a matter of time, guys, before other countries are overtly involved in this now. Sharon Owen is saying, I love Trump. I might go and counter-protest. Yeah, like there's loads of people. I can remember the last time Trump was in the United Kingdom. He was playing golf and people were shouting, don't trust Keir Starmer. We love you, Trump. It was quite funny to watch. James is saying, I wonder if the king will take Trump to the mosque, probably have a kebab after. Listen, guys, I love Middle Eastern food. I do. I absolutely love Middle Eastern food. And I'll put it out there right now, guys, all right? Nobody in the United Kingdom can make Iraqi kebabs as good as me. I am the best Iraqi kebab maker in the United Kingdom, guys, all right? I'm not going to say I'm the best Iraqi kebab maker in the world. I'm going to say I love Iraqi kebabs. If I tell people I'm doing them Iraqi kebabs, they all turn their nose up. So I have to tell them it's something else. But you know what, guys? If you ever tasted one of my Iraqi kebabs, you would be, honestly, guys, they're mind-blowing. Alexander is saying, imagine if the Not My King lot will say, not my king, Trump's my king. That would be funny, yeah. It is crackers, guys. Look, ultimately, all the craziness, all the shenanigans that we are seeing, viewing, witnessing through the world right now, it's going to lead to an Americanization of the United Kingdom. It's coming, guys. Like, you can see it now, can't you? Remember when I said it, like, last year sometime, back end of last, I can't even remember when. But I did a few videos on it. I said, look, the United Kingdom will become part of the United States. It was wild, wasn't it? Didn't it sound wild? How wild does it sound now? Like, literally, how wild does it sound now? Right, guys, listen, I'm going to close this down now. DB Cooper is saying, I'm going to hide at the Winchester pub until it all blows over. I am going to close this down now, guys. I'm going to close it down now. I will be back on later today. The crux of this video is things changed in London yesterday. I don't mean they changed politically, because these marches will never change anything politically. People have been united. The media are now reporting that the main difference with this march, the main difference with with this march and other marches is the overt Christian nationality. Chants of Christ is King from the crowd. These things have never happened again. This was a very religious. People had crosses. People had temple crosses. It was an emergence of Christianity. I've still not seen the video yet, but I'm told Tommy Robinson was given a Templar cross as a necklace. I've not seen that video yet, guys. I'm not calling anyone out. I'm just saying I've not seen that video. So that's the reality of the situation coming right now, guys, right? When people are saying, and I get it, you know, people are in the chat and they're saying, oh, but Sean, these are the real bad guys. These are the real bad guys. Yes, I understand. But if you're in that battle, if you're in that battlefield right there and then, and there's enemy trenches, you know, and you're fighting, I don't know, you're fighting the Russians, you know, you're fighting the Russians in eastern Ukraine, you know, right, 2 section, go right flanking, right, Billy, have you got the reserves, have you got reserve ready? Yeah, right, okay, how much ammunition's the fire support got? You know, like, you can't get on the radio and say, right, lads, don't attack that bunker. Why not? Well, it's Vladimir Putin that's the real threat, and his policies at home that are driving people forwards, and the ruble's going to drop, so he's the real threat. You're like, no, it's those machine guns right there. So, you know, you've got to deal with what's right in front of you, and when you've dealt with that, then you can look at the broader problem. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, Shaun of the Dread. Right, I am going to go and have ham and eggs. Actually, I was going to have I was going to have beans on toast because I've got like half a tin of beans in the fridge. I was just going to have them, but I may have ham and eggs. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I will be back on at 8, or just before 8. I think just before 8. I'll see you guys later.